Welcome to Mindfully Integrative Podcast with your host, Dr. Damaris G. Mindfully Integrative is a podcast discussing ways toward mindfully incorporating integrative health into our lives. This podcast will have informative resources, fun topics, interviews, and discussions relatable for today with a true mindful perspective in a mind-body, holistic life approach.
Hi, how are you? This is Damaris Maria Grossman, and this is the Mindfully Integrative Show. And today we have a mindful chat with Andrea Stephenson, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her. And thank you and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate Damaris being on your show, and I hope this will be fun and interesting for the things. A fun fact about me, I started saying is what I call the one spot rule in decluttering and stuff like that. You know, when you have things, put them in one spot. You know, if they're one file, one thing, you know, it is one of those things in life that if you put it in one spot, you'll never forget where you put it. And that goes for a lot of things in life, is that life is too short. And if you can keep things simple, that's what it's all about.
I love it. I love it. I like your tidbit and info. How and in reference to mindfully, integrative health and this space, would you like to describe and kind of where you came into your story and how now you have your own podcast also, so we can talk about that later. But a little bit about yourself and how you kind of came into where you are today.
Let's see. I'm 56. 16 years ago, actually, it's over 16 years ago, I was 494 pounds, and
I would never believe that.
Well, I was. And I was told either buy a coffin or do something or go to an eating disorders program. I do belong to a 12-step program for eating problems that I firmly believe that 12 steps are a big help. I was also in an abusive relationship at the time, and I had to make some different choices and decisions in my life. And that, I call it my man pickers kind of broke. But back to the 494 pounds, I lost 250 pounds on my own. I had diabetes, high cholesterol. I was taking 24 different medications, and my diabetes was out of control. I was 5 shots of insulin a day, and I had to do something. In fact, they had to do a gastric bypass on me, and that brought my diabetes down. I still take diabetes medicine, but I weigh about 140 now, and I've been here 9 years, and I feel like that's pretty successful. I've also got out of that battering relationship about 20 months ago, and I restarted up my business and got to grow. I've written 4 books: Clutter to Declutter, 28 Days to Declutter Your Life, also Decluttering Your Mind Now, and also Secrets to Overcoming Depression, Anxiety, and Worry. We just released it, and we have quite a few things with it. And also within my story,
congratulations.
As a child, I dealt with sexual abuse in a cult. It was physical, emotional, and spiritual. And it really, made me a very strong person. I had to be strong to get through that. I was taken out of my home at age 11 and put in a foster home, which she actually became my mom. She since passed away. And then when I was 21, I got a job as a corrections officer. And then 15 years into that, I was injured on the job and had to spend 2 years in a rehab facility. And to kind of speed it along, these past 20 months, I've dealt with COVID, neck, back, and lung infections, back surgery, and 4 car accidents. But I kept my business alive during the whole time. And one of the key factors I found in that was reaching out and getting help and investing in people. And I'm a very firm believer that you have to invest in the people who work with you, because I think that's extremely important, especially in business.
But what made you reach for help? Because not everybody reaches for help.
I wanted to reach for help. I wanted to change my life. I wanted a different life, especially 20 months ago. And I finally decided, you know what? It is my time in life. I am 56. Well, I was 54 back then. And I will be very honest. My ex did not make the house payments. My house was in foreclosure. I was about ready to lose my car. Financially, I was in the pits. Well, guess what? 20 months later, I'm out of the pits. My house is out of foreclosure. It's going to go to being paid off here shortly. My car was totaled. I got a different car, had money left over, and have other funds that are in the process as far as that's concerned. So one thing, that I have learned in the process is that you got to have hope and faith as far as I'm concerned, in God. And I look at God as good, orderly direction, and ego is easing God out. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you don't have that faith and hope that gives you the perseverance to be able to move beyond wherever you're at, then to me, I do mindful meditation every day and exercise and everything like that, even though I deal with pain issues and a double knee replacement. Let me say, I got my share of health issues, but I'm working on those and working through them, because you can complain about a problem till the cows come home, but unless you're willing to do something about it, nothing's going to ever happen, or your dreams are never going to come true. And my business has just recently started breaking even, and is now
Congratulations.
That's a big deal to me as far as I'm concerned. Is I've been paying for it out of my pension, my business. So I have not incurred 1 ounce of debt. And I've had offers from people for angel funding, but they want to come in and take a part of my company. And I firmly believe I don't want to let others control my values, how I believe things happen. What I do is part ministry, part business, because I'm about people, because people are more valuable. I know we have all this technology and to connect and everything, but we need to remember that there are people out there that are less fortunate than I am.
Mm-hmm. But you've worked really hard to, and you've also come a long way in your life, and incorporated this bridge from your traditional surgery of bariatric surgery and weight loss. Then you've put yourself to declutter your mind, your life, your made a whole business out of it, and are now helping others to do the same. And that's really important. And I can't wait for others to know you and to talk. Can you talk a little bit more about your decluttering business and what you do, or at least tips that you have done for yourself?
My Declutters to Light for Life, how it originally started. We have a corporation, and we also have other businesses that are underneath that. But it started out, I was also a hoarder, and I started out decluttering my house and got rid of about 90% of my stuff. And I decided, well, somebody said, make a business out of it. And I started thinking of names of Declutters to Light for Life. And I sat on my kitchen table and formed my corporation and says, I'm going to do something. And then on turn of that, it's turned into Empowerment Business Solutions. Empowerment, we have a coaching association, and we train coaches and ongoing education. We have a publishing house, and then we also have the Empowerment West Center, which is where my mental health is. I have done a lot of deep diving into mental health issues. I've been a 25-year mental health advocate. And as far as that's concerned, because I believe I firmly believe right now we're in a mental health crisis due to COVID. And a lot of people, I go to church and I greet people, and everybody wants hugs. Everybody wants,
because they're away from it. There's no social connection.
And a lot of older folks too. I get people who come up to me every week and they say, it means the most to them because they're not getting hugs. And I'm not afraid. I know I'm a high risk kind of category of people, but Jesus walked among the sick. He walked among the, different folks and different people of different backgrounds. And I feel like I'm no different than he is, He will protect me. I'm not getting religious on you, but my faith is very much close to my heart.
You can talk about faith. It's okay.
My faith is very much close to me. I will admit that I used to be Wiccan, and that held nothing for me. It was just negativity. And then I switched back to the roots of my Christian beliefs, and that was a big switch for me. And in fact, a week later, I got rid of my batterer. Somebody in the group says, quit complaining about him, get rid of him. You're not married to him. And it's started from that. And it was a battle, getting rid of him. And I jokingly told him, I says, he wanted to use my past against me. I said, just go on my Facebook Lives, which I've done about 680 of them. And I never heard a word from him again. So, if they really wanted to know my story, it was already out there. And I will admit that I deal with bipolar, PTSD, anxiety disorder. And at one time, I was a multiple personality disorder of 93 personalities, which I have combined into one. And that was probably about 4 years ago when that happened. So I've been the gamut.
And you're taking your meds and you're doing good and you're feeling better and you've made a business for yourself and you've incorporated all these different integrative components of, to get you to where you are now, which is amazing.
Exactly. Because I feel like it takes more than just one thing. It's a multifaceted approach to getting well, just not doing one thing. It's kind of like the new book that's coming out. And for $3.97, we have the book, we have the audiobook, and then we have 15 weeks of coaching calls that coincide with the book. And we have scales and things people can determine where their depression, their anxiety and stress are. I researched all that. Mm-hmm. And some of it's a lot of personal experience integrated into it. And to see that, folks get the support along with that. And we have coaching and coaches. And to me, support's very much important. And we do give away a lot of free stuff. I have this thing about you got to give, ask, not just ask, give, because too many people are out there for the quick buck. And I'm into developing a legacy, and you've got to build a firm foundation on your business. And that's what me and my two people did. A month into my business afterwards, I hired two people out on faith and built my business with these people. And I'll be hiring another folks here shortly. And just realizing, and God sent me the right people. They're willing to learn. They're willing to, our company is very entrepreneurial in style, because I give my people freedom to do what they need to do. And I don't sit there. I don't hover over people. We meet every morning and we talk about what's going on. And I always like to make sure the mental health of my people are good. I ask them about that because if their mental health is not good, they can't do good. And I also like to make sure I believe in social responsibility. They all have health insurance. They're from the Philippines. Their families are covered. I'm paying good wages because if your people are taken care of, they're going to do well and they're going to have less things. And, they've made mistakes. I've made mistakes. And we all make mistakes. And sometimes you got to be gentle with people. I call it kind candor. And just say, hey, maybe we could look at doing things a different way. And that you don't have to crush somebody's spirit, and in the new style of leadership, that's the way it's going, kindness and compassion and listening to your people. The old style of leadership is dying. and we are going to have to listen to people more. And I really firmly believe that, that comes out of my own experience about how I want to be treated and not be treated like a number. I don't think anybody likes being treated a number.
No.
I don't mean to put this out there. We even offer a 6-month guarantee on all our products, which is a lot different than a lot of places, because we found that people need to feel secure. If it doesn't work for them, we don't want to take, we'll give them their money back, no questions asked, because I find if it doesn't work for somebody, why sit there and argue about it? It doesn't do you any good. And, back to, somewhat my story is I always hate these places that have the 7-day trial or a 30-day trial. I did a lot of research and found that people, the longer the guarantee, the better people felt secure. And I find that, in the ask, give, that you don't have to sell. What you sell will just sell itself. So once this last book came out, it was a game changer for my business, because I don't know what happened, but it was just like right at the right moment. And I wrote 4 books in 16 months. And
amazing.
Yeah, I'm taking a break from writing books and a little bit of break for myself. And I'm just finding that, taking care of myself and working on my own health issues and helping others work on their health issues, because I think a part of being entrepreneurial that we forget is taking care of ourselves. Some people, I work 4 or 5 hours a day, and, I've integrated scheduling systems, a whole bunch of aspects of my business. As you probably know, there are many pieces and parts you've got to put into place. And
there are.
So,
and it's always, it's ever evolving or changing but you've come such a long way in your health story, from, the loss of weight, your mental health issues, decluttering your life, decluttering your mind, to then be able to bring it all together into different book topics to then incorporate and do coaching and all these other aspects. I think that is pretty profound. And what that other listeners or people that may be listening or watching, to know that there is hope to make change. And I think that sometimes people feel very hopeless because they have all of these other elements that are kind of against them. And you have a pretty strong history that people would be like, well, how did she become beyond where she is? How did she, get successful? Or how is she inspiring other people when it seems like she's come from something pretty difficult? So I see a resilience in you that's beyond, the average person, and people need to hear it. People need to know you, and I appreciate you being on the show.
And I like I said, this is who I am. I'm no different from what you hear as in person, as my podcast. And I'm going to crack a joke, and I hope people don't take offense to it. There is one definition of insanity that's going on. Some of what's going on with our governors and our president, and them kind of scaring people with what's going on. And I've done a lot of research in that. And I really think the joke is that, the definition of insanity is scaring people into, that people are, should be like lambs to a wolf. And I firmly believe that we need to open things up, because I firmly believe, this is just my belief, and my belief where it come from, is that if we keep opening and closing things like we're doing now, and I've done some research on this and see like this, and not allow herd immunity to happen. I find that we're going to be in a continuous cycle of this COVID, and just like the flu, it's going to happen every year. It's going to change and grow. And I don't know, some people may not agree with me on that, but I firmly believe that we need to, I know some friends who lost their business in COVID, and they lost everything. They lost their home. They became homeless, and I had to help them. I've even started an organization many years ago that helped people with mental health disabilities. And I firmly believe that, a lot of businesses are being hurt, and people are not recognizing that. And behind that is people. And I think we need to move forward and move forward from where we're at. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to get political.
We will move forward. And, like I said, I have you on the show for, because you've done and made changes for yourself. And I appreciate that. And we're, it's been a tough year. And I thank you though, for, coming through that even in this time. I'd like to know how people can reach you again, even though I'll have them in the show notes. How can someone reach you?
They can reach me at Declutters, DECLUTTERS, Delight, DELIGHTFOR, Declutters Delight, LIFE.AS.ME. They can schedule an appointment if they want to be on a podcast, or schedule a complimentary call with me. Sure. Or you can reach me at Andrea at 84streetrocks.com. And you can reach me through those factors. And I don't give out a private telephone number because I get too many.
No, you do not have to give a private telephone number. Absolutely not.
I don't. I've gotten too many weird calls.
No, absolutely do not do that. So
there's a lot of weirdos out there.
Yes, I want you to, be a part of the solution and not have everybody come be your problem for you. This is about solutions and positivity, and a platform for making integrative health and mindful ways each and every day. So I appreciate you being on the show, Andrea. Thank you so much for your time. I cannot wait for those to meet you and for them to reach out to you. Is there anything else you'd like to add in for the day before we go?
I'm going to leave 3 points, like I tell my guests to leave 3 points. 1, you got to have hope. You got to have faith. And you got to believe in yourself. And very simple things: have faith, have hope, and believe in yourself. And that will get you a long ways. And love, and have love and kindness and compassion for yourself, even if you make mistakes. And remember in life, and I get this from one of my 12-step programs, progress, not perfection. If you think you're going to be perfect in what you do, well, like I said, we all make mistakes, and we have to sometimes just roll with it.
I totally appreciate the progress, not perfection, and a little hope and faith. I think that hope, faith, and love, to me, that right there is super important. I just in itself, you don't even have to go into great detail when we have a little bit of love for ourselves in general. Thank you so much for just taking your time and your knowledge and bringing out that energy and love to others and those listening and watching, because I know someone needs to hear your story, because they're probably hurting and needing assistance. So I can't wait for them to reach out to you. And thank you again for your time and for being on.
Thank you very much. And you have a great day, and God bless you.
And God bless you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Mindfully Integrative Show with Dr. Damaris Maria Grossman, family nurse practitioner. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not to substitute for professional medical advice, diagnose, or treat. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your healthcare routine. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you enjoyed our show, please support us by leaving a mindful review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite streaming platform. Interested in being a guest or more information? Email us at info@mindfullyintegrative.com. For resources mentioned in the show, visit our website at www.mindfullyintegrative.com. You can also connect mindfully with Dr. Damaris on her social media links found on the site. May your strength and peace guide you to find a mindful way every day. Namaste.